All right, welcome to another installment of Tips for Tuesday. So for this week, what we have for you guys is upper extremity shoulder work. Last episode, we covered some hip prep, hip mobility work. This week, we're going to go over some shoulder prep, shoulder mobility work. So what we're working on today is a good overhead position for the arms. So we're working on shoulder external rotation and shoulder extension. So right now we got Leah working with us with doing some mobility stuff with some foam rollers and yoga blocks. We're going to get on the foam roller here, and she's going to do what we call some T-spine smashing. Right, and she's just going to take a big giant hug, kind of reach all the way around, see if she can grab her shoulder blades behind her. Right, and then from this position here, she's just going to do some left and rights. Okay, because your T-spine it has a good bit of mobility left and right, so she's going to work on this. All right, and then from this position here, she's going to go back and then forward. Okay, right now there's 12 thoracic vertebrae, so she can also take this foam roller and kind of also move it back a little bit more, right? And then continue down to some more vertebrae in the thoracic spine. So forward and back, and then she can also go back to doing some more right and lefts from this position as well. Okay, so that's with the foam roller. Thanks, Leah. We'll take this guy out. Right, these are easily accessible. You can buy these at any local store, like a Walmart, Target. So, pretty pretty inexpensive tool for you guys to use. Another thing we like to use in the gym as well too are yoga blocks. And what we'll do here is we'll build up yoga blocks to work on T-spine overhead mobility. And this is all going to depend on, in terms of how many you use, how flexible you are and how mobile you are in the thoracic spine and the shoulder in general. So we're going to build up two and see what happens here. We know that Leah's got some good flexibility in the thoracic spine. What she's going to do is adjust the yoga blocks so they're just below the shoulder blades, right? And then she's going to have her legs straight. Okay, she's going to go arms overhead, take a deep breath in, and as she exhales, she's going to extend over those yoga blocks. Okay, so you can see how we're opening up the thoracic spine, shoulder, and chest and pecs, right? And then another thing we're going to work on is, okay, what's our ultimate goal here is external rotation, so thumbs pointing down towards the floor, all right, and then shoulder extension here. All right, now if you have neck issues or you have neck pain, what we can do is take another yoga block, put it behind her head, and her head's going to rest in that yoga block to support it, okay? Another thing we can do is if you don't have this mobility right here, go ahead and sit up for us. We just remove one yoga block here, and she's feeling that stretch, so we know it's hitting it, right? We just use one yoga block, same deal, right, going overhead, and here she's actually able to rest her head on the ground. Okay, another thing we could do is bring the arms back up and then go out to the side, okay, and then we get a nice, real good anterior chain stretch, okay? So really opening up the thoracic spine with these two pieces right here, okay? All right, thanks, Leah. All right, and we're going to bring in Jordan. And okay, she's going to work on some band mobility here with us. We got a couple of different pieces here with that. So the first thing she's going to do is we have two green super bands hooked up to a cage with a PVC pipe. All right, you can use a wooden dowel as well. And she's going to get in and grab the bar as if she's doing an overhead press. All right, and then she's going to put the bar behind her head and rest it in a back rack position. Okay, and then from here she's just going to press the bar straight up overhead. Okay, and she's going to get tension on the band by leaning into it. But the key here is not to lose what we call losing the rib cage, and that's where we let the rib cage float forward and the hips collapse, right? We want to keep a nice, tight, stable core. We call, hollowing out, bringing the rib cage into the hips here and keep this tight. And then from here, she can start leaning into it, arms straight. Right, you got really good external rotation, and you know that because you can see the tips of her elbows coming out here. Okay, and then also what's cool about this position here is you can bring the bar staying where the body is, but bring it back down to the back rack position and then press back overhead. All right, you could do, 10 reps of that, so she's going to do a couple for us to show us that. The key here is she's leaning into the band the entire time and keeping tension on this band as she's doing it. Okay, we'll do one more of those. Good. And then another stretch that we can do is bring that back down, okay, and then come out in front. Okay, we call this one the sink stretch. She's just going to grab the PVC pipe palms down. All right, and then she's going to get into a staggered step or a lunge position, right? And she's going to lift the chest up, but the head's got to be relaxed, right? We don't want to crank on the neck extensors here. So the head is relaxed, chest is up, right? And we're working on the front part of the shoulder, real good front part of the shoulder stretch here. And you can intensify that stretch by just bringing your hands in closer or getting into a deeper lunge position here. So the lower she goes, the more of a stretch she's going to feel, okay? All right, so that's one piece here with the 2 bands and the PVC pipe. Okay, and the next one we're going to do is we're going to take another green band, okay? This is called anterior chain band mobility. All right, and she's going to take it and wrap it around the stanchion post here just above her head. Okay, and then from here she's going to put her arms in just above the elbows. Okay, and then you can see we have the stanchion post in between her feet to start, and she's in a nice overhead position, body is straight. Again, we're not losing the rib cage here. Good external rotation of the shoulders, thumbs pointing back. All right, a nice good open shoulder position. You can see her armpit from here. All right. Okay. All right, now from here she's leaning in, she's putting tension into that band, and what she's going to do now is she's going to start to go into a pec fly very, very slowly. So her arms are going to come down and out wide. Now as she's doing this, she's going to walk out and inch out a little bit. This is very important because as you walk out, you want to keep and maintain tension on the band so that the band doesn't slide down the pole. Okay, and she's going to keep going until her arms go back behind her. All right, and again, we're back into that kind of sink stretch where she's getting a nice stretch here through the anterior part of the shoulder. And if you're flexible enough, you can reach your hands behind your back and then press your arms out straight. And oh, that's a good stretch, yes, okay? All right, and then from here, okay, you can hang out here for a few seconds and then you can start going back into the fly position. So she releases her hands, and as she goes into that pec fly position, she's going to start inching her way back with her feet, okay? You can see how the band slid down there, so we want to maintain tension on the band and then keep coming up into that fly position and then walk your feet back and then back into the extension position, and then we're going to hang out here and see if that increased our mobility in this position right here. All right, so that's anterior band mobility, okay, and then we open it up before we got into the bands with the foam roll and the yoga blocks. All right, that is this week's installment of Tips for Tuesday. We'll see everyone next week.